must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
This is Diaspora Dispatches, where we get to bring you the latest from the continent of Africa. But on the show this afternoon, we are going to look at the current ruling that is expected to take place at the International Court of Justice between Kenya and Somalia maritime boundary dispute that Somalia took there in 2014, and we've been having this discussion, and we even had it early in the morning on the possible impact this ruling will have. And so just to continue as we wait for that ruling to start at the ICJ, to continue with the conversation and perhaps discuss the outcome of this ruling and what that will mean in terms of peace and stability in this region. I'm joined from, I don't know where Doctor is, he will tell us, but I seems to be in a very
on the screen, Miriam. Yes. I'm live from Lamu near the Indian Ocean in Kenya, near the border with Somalia.
All right, very well. So there you go, Doctor. Thank you so much. My name is Miriam Agut. So you could start it for us.
And behind me, you can see the ocean itself. This is where the Indian Ocean. A significance of this show this afternoon is to show the people how we have lived together, how we have been living together as Africans. The division by 1884, Bismarck created boundaries. All of you have seen the marks of the boundaries, which boundary, which place, which location you want to follow. So for me, I made it, Miriam, very significant, historical, to be near the Indian Ocean as this decision is made. As you are aware, I was the first person in sub-Saharan Africa and Africa to challenge this court and expose this court as an obnoxious court that has no bearing, that doesn't know, there's no court of appeal, which is very corrupt. The judges are corrupt. I believe, first, before we go into details, let my Stephen play a bit of the clip that we had, then we can proceed there as we wait. Today's ruling is not a ruling for joy for Africa. Today's ruling is not important for the people. People should not rejoice about it. It is a division. We are being taken back to another fight for colonies. The colonial master came and told us to pray. Some brought us religion. The Arabs came, conquered Africa. The Turkish Empire, the Ottoman Empire, the Portuguese, the Chinese, the Italians, all of them came across this place in Lamu, in Mombasa, in Malindi. But what took place is a disaster. When they left behind a litany of difficulties, a litany of unknown geography that today some of us in Africa, if we started doing what Somalia has done, we would end up in the biggest chaos that we cannot have at all. So thank you very much, Miriam. Let's have that clip of where I told the world that the time will come. We need to sort this border. It is very unfortunate that Kenya allowed itself in 2014 to go into any case. Anybody who should have advised the Kenyan government at that time should have rejected any entry into this obnoxious, silly, idiotic court. A court that does not have bearings. A court that the UN uses to whip, to create divisions for territories overseas. It is very sad that today such a ruling will divide Africa, and that is why we are reporting about it. Thank you. Let's have the clip. When it is ready to play, we play.
I think.
The International Court of Justice is a court that was created to solve problems of disputes of any nature. But this court was created on the basis that times could change and the constitutionalism and the mandate could also change. The International Court of Justice has never changed. In this court, there is no chamber for appeal. There is no chamber for amicus curiae, for people to bring in their opinions in terms of individuals or organizations that are hurt in one way or the other, or good opinions that could shape the outcome of the findings or the cases filed there. This court, therefore, remains one of the most obnoxious, one of the most opaque institutions whose findings we don't know who decides and how the decisions are taken, how stakeholders are supposed to recourse to a remedy, where to get a remedy, we don't know. A court has no chambers, no lower chamber, no upper chamber for appeal. It has itself as a final court of jurisdiction around the world. Are the people of the world going to say, is Somalia and Kenya going into this court, seeing the obstacles that they will cause for the region? Those are the questions I ask. And I want my viewers and those listening to this tape to understand that Africa needs to solve the problem in an African way. There is no other way to solve the problem of Somalia and Kenya amicably than sitting on a table to have a discussion, find ways of resolving the conflict that has brought us to not talking terms. But Somalia seems to be pushed by external darker forces to go and dismember the unity that we have in the Great Lakes region and the Horn of Africa. ICJ as a court is an institution that is very opaque, very dark in its sense of darkness, that you don't know how decisions are made. There is no counter checks and balances in the decision making. I therefore urge Somalia and Kenya not to attend this court. I urge Somalia and Kenya to avoid this court for the sake of peace in the Indian Ocean. I also have called upon the countries that are supporting Somalia to take this case, to withdraw their support for the sake of security, because we have only one common enemy. The enemy are the terrorists killing the innocent Somalis who need our help to be liberated from these fighters who have come and gathered in the great once country, or the Pearl, one of the Pan-African countries in Africa. Thank you very much, viewers. That is my message to the world. Let's spread it. The International Court of Justice is opaque. It doesn't have appeal chamber. It doesn't have preparation chamber. It doesn't have any. Once the decision is made, the decision is final. Do we need that? We call that democratic. I leave it to you. Thank you.
The Indian Ocean, on the shores of Indian Ocean live, where we are broadcasting live about the Maritime, Somalia-Kenya Maritime border dispute. In October 2019, viewers, is when I did that clip. I was very, very much touched that nobody was challenging this court. Nobody had made any challenge of this court. The court rejected any application that Kenya had put in. I made my own sacrifice. I took a step, and I want to thank the people of Kenya, those who helped me, those who assisted me, those who encouraged me to go ahead and find out what exactly was happening in the court. A court that has got a Somali judge, a presiding judge to preside over a matter, a judge who had no shame that he was presiding over a matter which could compromise his integrity. I was very, very touched. I moved faster. I went to court. I went to Hague, Miriam. I made my points. I published my information, my material, my reservations. I have continued since then to tell the world that it is not very, very important at the moment. This ocean and the boundaries are imaginary. There were millions and millions during the creation of this planet Earth and water. As you see from the water behind me, which is flowing, it is very quiet, it is very innocent. It is we, the human beings, Miriam, who are becoming very funny. The government across in Mogadishu, I don't know whether, Miriam, you are hearing me.
Yes, we can hear you, Doc.
The government in Mogadishu is led by a very dangerous man, a man who deals with terrorists at night and then talks to us during the daytime. Such a person cannot be trusted to find a long-lasting solution. My country, Uganda, and Kenya, we have paid a price, a huge price for having been part and a parcel of our struggle in Mogadishu. Our people have been killed, maimed, slaughtered on a daily basis. We are dying for the sake of peace and to pacify Somalia. So when you see such incidences coming, that a country that you are fighting so hard, that you want to get out of the quagmire, it goes to accuse you. It is very painful for Kenya at the moment. What next if the ruling goes against Somalia? Or what next if the ruling goes against Kenya? That ruling is anticipated anytime from 4 p.m. East African Standard Time, which is 3 p.m. European time. Any minute, in the next 18 minutes, the ruling will start. But let me tell you this, Miriam. What are the benefits? What are the disadvantages? What are the effects, ripple effects? First of all, Kenya is already sitting on the border. It is in the border. It is in the ocean. Because Kenya did not go to complain about the boundary. It is Somalia that complained about the boundary. Therefore, Somalia, under the influence of Norway, Turkey, France, United Arab, Qatar, and some other international body that wants oil in the Indian Ocean. You see, Miriam, Africa is being killed because as an island, Africa has got its own minerals. As an island, we are an island, as you can see. We are surrounded by 4 oceans. We are surrounded by Mediterranean Sea. We are surrounded by the Red Sea. We are surrounded by the Indian Ocean. We are surrounded by Atlantic Ocean. And as an island, Africa finds itself in a very queer position that everybody in Africa wants to say, wants to come, wants to take a share. That is why you had the 1884 Berlin Conference that partitioned Africa into several parts and made us weaker. The more you divide them, the weaker they become. That was the doctrine of colonization that left Africa and the scars, or what we could call in political science, Miriam, colonial hangover, still haunts Africa. Back to you in the studio, Miriam, for any questions. Today I am ready.
All right, Doc, and while you were talking, I was just checking what Kenyans have been saying, and you know Kenyans have been having so much to say, and as we speak right now, the hashtag International Court of Justice is the one trending in the country, and Kenyans are, I think, rallying behind what President Uhuru Kenyatta said the other day, that we shall respect the boundaries of other countries, and in that regard, other countries must respect the boundaries of Kenya, and Kenya has no intention of ceding any of its, land or waters to anybody. So President Uhuru Kenyatta also reiterated that as much as Kenya is a peace-loving country, but, we will be ready to defend our territorial sovereignty. So in case you're watching and you don't know what we're talking about, the fate of Kenya's multi-billion shillings maritime economy hangs in a balance as the International Court of Justice rules on a long-standing border dispute with Somalia this afternoon about 4 p.m. East African time. In just a few minutes from now, caught between the devil and the deep blue sea, the nation holds its breath as it awaits the crucial judgment of a contested zone of the Indian Ocean that is believed to hold oil, gas, and deposits. Of course, we know Kenya withdrew from this case, citing certain grounds that it felt was unfair. And one of them was that one of the judges who had the case is a Somalia citizen by the name Abdullah Kui Yusuf, who represented his nation at the 3rd United Nations Conference on the Law of the Sea. Justice Yusuf has been a member of the ICJ since February 6, 2009, and served as its president between 2018 and 2021, and he's one of the judges that had and will be expected to deliver part of the ruling in a few minutes of this case between Kenya and Somalia. So that in itself, Kenya felt that was very unfair, and in the interest of fairness and justice, the Somali judge was not supposed to be there, but the ICJ refused to have the Somali judge leave the panel. But Doctor, I know we've talked about this before, this is a clear case of conflict of interest, because you cannot expect a judge, a Somali judge, to rule against its country. So why would the ICJ not have done something about that when they had time to do so?
Miriam, ICJ is a court that only accepts states. So as a non-state actor like I am, I filed these applications to the registry to warn them of the corruption of the Somali judge being the presiding judge. What they did before Corona came in, I just this case, and the arresting warrants were coming for some people in the region who were part and parcel of complicity, who were actually involved in maneuvers to sell the blocks across in the Indian Ocean. One of them was the former Prime Minister of Somalia, Hassan HAGUE. Hassan HAGUE, as the managing director of Soma Oil, was part of the mastermind who took all this case to The Hague. And may God help him, because he has brought something that is very difficult in this region. 2, for a Somali judge to sit on a panel, a man who raped another lady in Brussels. I went to Brussels and found this guy is a rapist. And 2, he said he doesn't drink. He drinks. He drinks alcohol. And I tell the Somalis that he's a very pure Muslim. I took pictures. I took videos in his drinking pub in Brussels. I handed them over to the registry. So I said, what type of man is this that you are calling a presiding judge? There is a clip that is going around right now, and you have seen, I wish Stephen played it, and why the man joined the forces. It is very, very crucial that therefore we must expose. Yes.
19. It stipulates that all ships now sailing under a European flag.
That is another participant who is joining us, another panelist who's joining us this afternoon. We had him, I think, on Sunday, Daniel Juma. I think once he is settled down, then we'll bring him in and we can get his thoughts on what is going on.
You can, there is a radio or something talking behind in your place.
Yes. All right.
Yes,
so yes. Once he's able to settle down, then we will have him on. Doctor, just continue with the point you're making as we wait for Daniel Juma to settle down there.
So, in a nutshell, when you look at what Judge Abdullah Abdalakwi of Somalia, whose father is the clan leader of Farimajo, and whose father is an advisor to Farimajo. Then what type of justice were you going to get? What type of justice were you going to get? You can't get any justice. So, Miriam, I went in court. I don't know where Dr. Daniel Juma was. Daniel Juma would have followed me in 2019 when I saw the situation was going out of hand. One of the problems that Kenya should learn from this is every time when there is a situation of this nature, help people who know what international law is. I am a student of international law. I'm a student of international relations. Miriam, I'm a student of political science and international relations to the last iota on planet Earth. When I give some advice, at least let the leaders in Kenya at times hear me. Some of them might be big in positions, might be lawyers, might be attorney general. But when I'm giving my advice as a man who studied political science and international relations, including the international law, which is very clear, and who does not like these agencies, Miriam, let people give me credit. In 2007, let me talk about this before we bring in Juma. 2007, Miriam, I stood firm. 2008, I said the ICC was fake. Several Kenyans wanted to kill me. Now, can you now kill me? Is it not fake? I'm asking questions because time has come for me also. Why don't people recognize me? Because I'm black, because I talk as a black man with a PhD, who you don't want to hear about it. But when a white man comes with a PhD, you tell him whatever it is. But I want to thank people. There are people in Kenya who are consistent. They know themselves. They have helped me. They have encouraged me. I want to thank them again 1 million times. We did an intervention that has brought Kenya to reject this type of animosity. And it is good that Kenya rejected. I also stand firm, having tried to persuade Mogadishu to come on the table and bring the matter to the Constitutive Assembly. Constitutive Assembly in the African Union headquarters in Addis Ababa. They refused. The only way to do is to overthrow Barimajo. I'm telling you today, I'm not happy. And I'm calling upon the MPs who know me, over 91 MPs in Somalia, whom I filled forms for asylum in Britain. Wake up, vote this guy out. Vote this guy out of power. He has brought a war in the region. Over to you, Miriam. Thank you. All right, thank you so much. Let's check whether our guest panelist is there. Daniel Juma, if you can hear me, very good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
All right, so one of our viewers here is raising a question that, we are questioning why, the ICJ found it appropriate to have a Somali judge listen to a case between Kenya and Somalia. And one of our viewers here is saying, he became a judge of international court due to his intelligence and education, and we are not questioning that. We are not questioning his intelligence. We are not questioning his level of education. But obviously here, Dr. Juma, this is a conflict of interest, and even in a normal court, judges will recuse themselves. So why did the ICJ agree for Abdalakwi to be part of this judging panel?
Yes, I agree. I mean, the tradition is that once a conflict of interest has been raised by any parties, to a dispute, then if you want to have a legitimate consequence of whatever proceedings that you have, then that conflict, the issue of the conflict of interest must be addressed. And I do not think the ICJ doesn't have, I think they have adequate judges that would have looked at the issue rather than this particular judge who has been, suspected of conflict of interest. So that is one of the issues that Kenya complained about. It was raised and they never listened. So that is one of the reasons also that made Kenya actually leave these, not recognize these proceedings. Yeah. So for me, I find it very, very sad that that this court, Kenya has been one of the organizations that has been supporting multilateralism, and we have hosted the UN. We host the UN in our city of Nairobi in Gigiri. And whenever a country like Kenya raises an issue such as this, it should be taken seriously. Look, right now we have our president is chairing the Security Council meeting this month. It is our position to do that. And so with all these factors, I keep saying, and I want to again call upon the ICJ and their ruling today. They can say, they still have time to say that this matter was brought and what we have looked at the issues, and given the geopolitics and the convergence of all the issues, we would want to declare judicial restraint and refer this matter to something else. The UN has the ability to do this, and I'm hoping that the Security Council can also encourage the ICJ to actually be able to take this route. Yeah.
Right. Very well, thank you. Now, Article 35, paragraph 1 of the statutes, that is the United Nations, provides that the court shall be open, the ICJ court shall be open to the states parties to the statute, and Article 93, paragraph 1 of the Charter of the United Nations provides that all members of the United Nations are ipso facto parties to the statutes. Ipso facto meaning that as long as you're a member of the United Nations, then you are under the subjection of the ICJ, you automatically become under the subject of the International Court of Justice. And we know Kenya on Friday last week announced that it is departing from the ICJ, Doctor, and it will not recognize any ruling that will come from that court. And of course, Kenya pulled out of that process back in, was it in March? And so what does this mean for Kenya moving forward, having pulled out of the ICJ? Dr. Matsanga.
I think basically then it legitimizes Nairobi's actions of not recognizing the outcome of the process. The fact that they actually pulled out basically should encourage the UN, the court to relook at this case, reconsider this case, and declare judicial restraint. So I think this is the fact that, and you cannot force legitimize. As in, if I do not recognize you as a competent court to be able to adjudicate my issue, you cannot force it. And if they and Matsanga has said severally, this is a peaceful region. The Horn of Africa is peaceful, and you must give it to Kenya. Kenya has been one of the countries that has contributed to the peace in this region. Look at the Somaliland, inside Somalia, the issue of terrorism. They're still dealing with Al-Shabaab. The government in Somalia is not stable yet. So you cannot complicate, the peace in the region by coming up with a ruling that will destabilize peace in the Horn of Africa. So for that, I refuse. I refuse completely. Yeah.
All right. Very well. Thank you so much. Dr. Matsanga, Kenya is an ipso facto party to the ICJ by the fact that we are a member of the United Nations, but we pulled out. So what does that mean to Kenya moving forward? Yeah, meaning that, yes.
Yeah. First of all, Medium, ipso facto does not mean that you can be subjected by a compromise decision. It doesn't mean so. Kenya is very right to say we are members of the United Nations. Have they admitted, if UN has got a biting muscle, has it admitted Taiwan?
It has not even gone to the United Nations.
It has not admitted Taiwan into the United Nations. Why don't they do that? Because the UN if it was criminal for countries to exclude themselves from UN, then that is okay. But the countries go to UN by the willingness of United Nations, by the peace. But when the peace is not going to come, you can't wait there because you have been tied on something that is obnoxious, stupid, silly, idiotic, with judges selected from. Some of them are selected because they are sex pets. Some are selected. Yes, that's how they selected these judges. Tell me, you have read the story of United Nations. How did some of these guys come? Because how did Ocampo end up there to be a chief prosecutor? Juma, you know that very well. Ocampo has one small degree from a University of Argentina. How can he come to rule the whole world with men like we who have degrees, 10 of them? Stupid. They select people according to what their favors are. Haven't you heard of the sex scandals in AU? Haven't you heard of the sex for food in the Democratic Republic under UN auspices? The French soldiers were sexually harassing Congolese women